Hey, up. Right, I've dealt with this subject before many times in the past, but I still constantly get questions about protecting motorcycles from, corrosion and weather, basically. It's funny, a lot of people don't advocate taking any measures to protect the frame and the engine from the elements, yet you do get a lot of people complaining that bikes rust within months of buying them from new, and that's because they've not taken any steps to protect the bike. Any motorcycle's not like a car, which you get rust on a car, but it's where you don't see it. It's hidden behind plastic panels and body panels. So you do get a lot of corrosion from driving on salty roads and wet roads, but you just don't notice it because the manufacturers have taken steps to make sure that, you know, the shiny bits on the outside always look good for years. On a motorcycle, it's not easy to do that. You know, they do use high quality materials to paint the frame and the engine if it's a painted engine, but inevitably, in short order, if you don't do anything to protect them, they will start to deteriorate. And it's really easy to slow that deterioration down. Now, I know there are a lot of products on the market for this purpose. A lot of them are quite expensive, sort of in excess of £10. Some are in excess of £20, but you don't really need to spend lots of money on what I often view as sort of snake oil products, when there are some really cheap products on the market which will do the job just as well. Now, in the winter on my bikes, I use Biltamba Dynax UC. This is a wax oil product. If you coat your frame on your bike with this stuff, I don't know, say September, October time, it will last through the entire winter. And it'll protect your bike from not just the weather, but obviously the obnoxious salt that tends to be put on the roads as well. And it's easy to clean off in the springtime when, you know, you don't want that coating of wax on it. Now, unlike other wax products that I've used historically in the past, this is a really light product. It's not obvious when it's on the bike. I've made videos on how to use this in the past, but honestly, I mean, this is a 500 milliliter, 750 milliliter can. I've used this on 3 motor cars, treating various areas that I thought might have problems with rust in the future. And I've tried all of my bikes that I currently have with it, and some bikes that have been and gone. And I would still say there's about 40% of this can left. I'm not entirely sure what this costs now. I know it's under £20, I think it's under £20, but I've had this can for about 7 years. I mean, it's looking a bit battered now, but it's still good to go for another few bikes. You know, it's not going to cost you a lot of money to protect your bike, you know, going forward for the next few years. I would imagine if you're just a one bike man, you buy a can of this, it's going to last you a decade easily. Now, another product that I've shown you in the past, and this is dirt cheap. You can pick it up for less than £5 a can. One can will easily last you an entire riding season from, let's say, April through to the end of September. Is Double TT by Tetrasil. Now, I bought quite a few cans of this in a few years ago. This is actually one that survived because I'd used them all up. This one had obviously been knocked off the shelf and was down the back of the shelf, and I found it a few weeks ago, so I've been using it up. It's a microcrystalline wax and oil formula. Basically, it's just a maintenance spray. And there's a little story behind this actually, because this goes back right to my early days of motorcycling. There used to be a product called Rocket TT, which I would buy from the local filling station on my way home from work on paydays. And the stocked trade products mainly This being one of them, although it wasn't this, it was Rocket TT. Now, what I didn't realise is that at some stage in the past, they changed the name from Rocket TT to Double TT. And it's like a gel wax formula. It acts just like any other maintenance spray. It'll dispel water, it'll loosen up, you know, fasteners that are rusted up, etc. But it's really good during the riding season. I don't know how good it would be in winter. I've never tried it because I use the Dynax wax in winter. But certainly for the 3 seasons when you're likely to be riding, this is perfect. Now, I should have realised, because there is actually a picture of a rocket on the side of it. Rocket TT disappeared sometime in the 1990s. I couldn't get hold of it anymore, and it was a product that I used a lot for dressing the engine and the frame during the spring, summer and autumn months. And I swapped over to Double TT. I'm not sure whether Tetrasil is still producing Double TT, but they've relaunched Rocket TT, which is exactly the same. Now, this is a really good weatherproofing formula for a motorcycle. I picked this up off Amazon for £4.12 per can, but the beauty of it is now, it's available in Asda's, Tesco's, I would imagine Halfords will probably stock it. And it's an excellent, just to check that it was, you know, the same stuff that I've been using. I found, I think it's part of an old TV wall mounting bracket that's been kicking about the house for about 10 years. And a week and a half ago, I gave it a quick spray with this stuff, let it dry, and then I put it out in the elements. Now, during that week and a half, I think we've had, well, it's been like this nearly all the time. I think we've had 2 dry days. We've had several sort of intermittent rain during the day. One of those days there was some really, really heavy rain. And then we had 3 just constant rain, 24 hours for 3 days. So it's lasted really well. The beauty of this crystalline wax formula, which is a petroleum distillate, it's mixed with oil, and I wouldn't say it's permanent, but it's a really durable barrier that doesn't wash off. So if you're commuting and you just wash your bike once a week, it's going to last you throughout the week without you having to reapply, unless the weather conditions are really, really dirty. I mean, it's a matter really of just keeping an eye on things as the week goes on. This wax will handle quite high temperatures, so you don't need to worry about it burning off the engine like some products. I wouldn't put it on the exhaust, well, certainly not the downpipe, but it should be okay on your mufflers or your silencers, whatever you want to call them. I treat the whole frame and the engine, including your, you know, the front members of the engine and the engine cradle, and it works really well. Now, as I say, a week and a half of cold temperatures, nasty weather, it lasted really well. Did actually put a hose pipe on it just to see if I could wash it off, and it won't come off. Really durable product. £4.12 for a 450 millilitre can. You can't go wrong. It's like I say, you don't have to spend a fortune on these snake oil products to protect your bike properly, so that it lasts longer than it otherwise would. Now, there are just a few things to bear in mind with these sort of products. The health and safety executive here in the UK, and I know it's the same in other countries, they often suddenly object to certain chemicals being used in these sort of sprays, so the manufacturers have to reformulate them. And what I've found over the years, especially with products like WD-40 and GT85, which I used to swear by, is that their effectiveness is diminished when the formulations are sort of changed to adhere to health and safety regulations. You know, in both cases, WD-40 and GT85, their reputations have been fantastic corrosion inhibition on machinery decades ago, but they've become less effective as time's got on through, reformulation to adhere to regulations. And, in my opinion, over the years, these products have become a mere shadow of the former selves. And I think the same can probably be said of a lot of similar products. Now, what I am pleased about, as you've seen in the demonstration on that piece of metal that I've been testing, is that this still seems to be a pretty good product. It's pretty much as I remember it back in the 1980s. So there's a possibility there that the original formulation hasn't been affected too much by later legislation. It is still very resistant to wash off. Bearing in mind, this piece of metal, is designed for indoor use. The coating that's on it will only be an interior grade coating. And this had already spent a week and a half out in all weathers, and it was still refusing to wash off with a jet from a hose pipe. Certainly, with my experiences of particularly GT85 and WD-40 in recent years, it would not withstand anywhere near this sort of water treatment. Now, I should say that this sort of product is not designed to withstand detergents, soaps and bodywork cleaners, etc. After all, they are designed to remove these sort of coatings and clean the motorcycle paintwork down to the paintwork. So I wouldn't sort of bank on being able to wash the bike and this sort of coating remaining in place. My regime has always been to replace these sort of dressings after each wash, whether you're doing it weekly, every 2 weeks, or even monthly during the milder months of the year. Now, both Double TT and Rocket TT, which, as I've said, as far as I can tell, are the same product. I did contact Tetrasil about this, and they did confirm they're both the same product. Historically, were trade-only products. You would only find it in workshops and garages. It wasn't, generally speaking, on sale to the public, but with the advent of this newfangled internet, obviously it's much easier to get hold of. Now, I have done a little bit of searching and I have found adverts for it through Asda and Tesco. I actually bought these from Amazon, and I'll leave a link to Amazon for both this and the Dynax UC Wax from Bilthamber, because that is another brilliant product that I've shown you before, especially for use in the depths of winter. But what I will do is I will only put a link in the video description down below for the single 450ml can, because that one actually works out the cheapest. The 600ml can I think was getting on for £10 for an extra 150ml. The 300ml I think again was a little bit more expensive than the 450ml can, and the multi-packs, when you sort of work out how much you're getting for your money, again you're paying considerably more, so you're better off getting the single 450ml can and then just altering the number that you require. If you want more than one can, put 2, 3, 4, whatever, and you get them all for the same price. Buying the advertised multi-can options ends up being considerably more expensive. It's stupid, but that's that's the way it is. Now, I know people will mention other products. ACF50 especially always crops up in the comments. My personal view is that it's overpriced and it underperforms. I tried it when it very first came out years ago. I wasn't impressed with it. I've never gone back to it. But if you like it, by all means, continue to buy it. Also, there are some semi-permanent lacquer-based rust blockers on the market that I've also tried. Again, I don't like them. They tend to look untidy after a few weeks or months. You can't easily recoat over them, and it can be a bit of a problem removing it, so I tend to stay clear of them. Again, they're also quite expensive. I think the two versions that I tried were something called, I think it was XCP Rust Blocker, and a Genelite product that was very, very similar. I didn't find them particularly effective, and as I say, recoating and cleaning off can be a problem. I'm not knocking other people's products, you know, buy whatever you like, but what I'm offering you here are, you know, budget options that I know work well. And as you can see here, after 25-mile ride in some very nasty weather conditions, there will actually have been some salt on the roads as well, because it was when the weather was colder a few weeks ago. There's minimum pickup and stick to your frame and your engine. It shrugs everything off really well. Right, these temperatures are sucking the life out of my batteries. Just one note about any aerosol product. I speak to a few manufacturers over the years. They get a lot returned because they don't work. People don't rate the product. When these are formulated and put in a can, they're usually stored right way up in a box on a shelf. It could sit there for weeks, it could sit there for months, it might even sit there for years before it goes out of the warehouse and off to the retailer. And then when it gets to the retailer, same situation. It'll sit on a shelf like that until someone buys it and takes it away. Now, the waxes and the oils in these products, the bits that you're actually paying for, are usually heavier than the solvent that they're mixed in with. So what happens is they'll sink down to the bottom of the can and they'll form a sort of a sediment. So they must be shaken up properly before you use them. Otherwise, all you're really doing is spraying solvent onto your engine parts or your chassis. Now, what a lot of people do, they'll shake it like that, but depending on how, you know, how old it is, that sort of sediment of waxes and oils can become quite compacted in the bottom, and gravity's working against you while you're doing this. So always tip your can upside down before you shake it. Shake it for at least 30 seconds, preferably a minute, maybe even 2 minutes, to make sure that that sediment is all mixed well into, you know, the full volume of the solvent and the propellant. Now, if you don't do that, what tends to happen is initially the pressure will suck a sort of a hole in the middle of that sediment. And because that sediment hasn't been mixed in, what happens after that is it will just draw the solvent down, and all you'll be doing is spraying solvent onto your engine, which will do it. It won't do it any harm, but it won't do it any good whatsoever. So always hold it upside down and shake it well. I mean, the other thing is as well, I know a complaint that I often get from people, they'll give it one quick squirt when they've first used it and it'll immediately block up. And that's because you've got that thick sediment in the bottom that's been pushed up and it blocks the nozzle, and then your can's pretty much knackered after that unless you can clear the nozzle somehow. So just be aware of that. Whenever you're using any sort of aerosol product, hold it upside down and give it a damn good shake before you actually use it. Now, it's got quite a clever nozzle attachment on this. I mean, these are becoming quite common now. It's got a straw for getting into hard to reach areas. We just pull the straw down. It's got a lock on it, which it's already open because I've just used it. Pop it forward, that unlocks it. If it's back, it can't be accidentally squeezed. Pop it forward. Now, in the case of this, obviously it's raining, so the engine's got wet. It will de-water, but it's always best to get your engine as dry as you can, or whatever it is that you're treating, before you use it. And just a light spray, that's all that's required. And tip it upside down, give it a quick squirt, and that just gets clears the nozzle, ready for next time that it's used. What I then like to do is just give it all a light wipe over. And then leave it to dry. And as I say, it's really tenacious stuff, this. I've always been impressed by double TT. The Rocket is the same product and it's just as good. £4.12 for a whole riding season. You can't go wrong, really. In fact, if I'm honest, if you're careful with it, you probably get 2 or 3 riding seasons out of it. So there you have it, really. You know, you don't have to spend a fortune on posh products or snake oil products to preserve the finish on your bike. You can actually do it quite cheaply. I mean, I always get pushback from people in the comments on these type of videos that say you shouldn't have to use these sort of products. Well, you know, you don't have to if you don't want to, but the end result will always be premature rust on a motorcycle because, you know, they have to put up with an awful lot of abuse on the road. And products like these just represent, you know, a cheap aftercare that doesn't take an awful lot of time, that will help preserve your bike for a lot longer than those people that choose not to protect the bikes. The choice is yours. Once again, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this and my other videos, and in doing so helping to support this channel. I really do appreciate it. There are other ways that you can help me out by leaving a like and pressing the hype button if it's available to you. You could also subscribe to this channel if you're not already a subscriber. There are other ways that you can help me out via my Patreon page, PayPal donations, details of which are in the video description down below, or you can use the super thanks button. Not essential, but it is appreciated. I am of course going to be back next week, so until then, please ride safely and I'll see you soon.